Last week or two, I was going through some of our hands-on labs for Visual Builder to see which ones are working, which ones need to be updated, which ones may need to be deprecated, whatnot. And I went through these two labs, and I thought they were kind of interesting. So I had the idea that maybe what I would do is I would do an office hour session where I do the lab, and if you'd like, you could follow along with me. Let me switch over to here. The two labs that I will be doing are, let me get to the top of the page. There we go. They're both related. So what we're going to do is we're going to add multi-language capabilities to a Visual Builder app. So if you've done these labs before, feel free to hang on and let me move that over here. And feel free to hang on and throw your ridicule in the Q&A. If I get things wrong, that's just fine. If you'd like to follow along with these two apps, I will throw up a barcode here in just a sec so you can open them up. But let's get that back to there and get this over to here. And here are the two labs. So these QR codes, I just made them today, so hopefully they still work. But these should get you to the two labs. The first lab is going through how to basically set your text fields up, your labels and whatnot, for multi-language translations, how to edit the string, how to edit the JSON file, that type of thing. And then the second lab takes that first lab, and I don't know why it just told me Zoom is ready. The second lab takes the first lab and then adds a couple buttons to switch the languages. So I'm going to open the QA on the side here, and normally I have someone answer the questions in the background and I do my thing. I'm going to try and keep an eye on the questions. Let's try and keep the questions related to the lab. I did not do what I normally do. Normally, if I'm doing a demo, I will over practice the demo a lot. I've done these particular labs, I believe, 3 times. One for when I was doing the proof of concept, or the proving the labs. And then the second time I did a practice run. And then the third time I made let's just jump over here. I made a just in case app. So if all else fails, I will have this app. I can pull it up if I blow everything up, and we'll be able to just go through how it should have worked. So the first step in the lab is it has a link in there to download this file, which I've already downloaded the file, and then you can use that file to create. There we go. We'll hit create. You can use that file to import and create a new lab. I will. I'll pull the. So one of the questions is, can we have the QR codes, QA codes, whichever. Have those back up. So while that's importing here, if you want to go ahead and you can take a screenshot of that, or snap a picture of those 2 barcodes, and you'll be able to pull the labs open. So I'm going to mark that one there, and it should be done by now, or close. It's still going. Obviously, of course, whenever we're doing a demo and you do something like import an app, that takes longer than it takes in any other situation. So there we go. I'm going to try and explain the things as I go along, and I may or may not cover everything, but let's just jump into it. So I'm going to be working from some notes I took of the lab rather than the actual lab itself. Like I said, if you want to follow along with the labs, you're welcome to. First step, this is an older application. These are a couple of the labs that need to be updated to our new format, probably switching over to live labs. And There we go. So we've upgraded the lab to the current environment. And the first thing that we want to do is I want to show you, let's see, what's the path here? I want to go into the web app, and under resources, strings, app, NLS, you'll find this file and this file. So I'll come back to these files in a minute as part of the lab. So this little section here isn't part of the lab. I just wanted to show you that this is what the file looks like before we get started. So I'm gonna go close that and this and go into the page. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we come into the page here, and every once in a while I'm going to pause and look at the questions. See if there's anything I can answer as I'm going along. Some of these things I'll save to the end and answer the questions at the end. Mostly what I'll pick up in the questions as we go along is if somebody spots that I made a mistake, we'll go ahead and get that fixed. The others I'll try and hold to the end. All right, so we have text, we have button labels, we have table header or column headers, and we want all of these things to be internationalized. Is that a real word? So really cool little trick is if you highlight the thing that you want and you look right here, there's this little globe. If you hit this globe, it opens this translatable string screen. And what you do here is I can just hit save, but what's helpful, so this first demo is going to, or this first lab, first part of the lab is going to be the scenario where I am internationalizing a big app, and I'm going to just take the file, I'm going to send it off to someone who knows how to speak the language that we're going into, because I don't speak French, and that team would set all the languages and send me the file back. So that's the first process we're doing. And so as part of that, it is sometimes helpful, I want to copy and paste because we don't want to watch me make typos all day, to put in a description. So this is the top header for the departments page. I hit save, and that saves it off to that file we were looking at earlier. So you can see now that this is a link to that file. And so the new value for that is there. The next one we want to do is we're going to do the same thing for the button. So we'll open up, I always miss that. We'll open up the button. I'll throw in a description for the button. Say this is the button for creating new departments. And so the bind text and the buttons are fairly easy. What about tables? Let's go into the tables, and to get to the column headers, you have to go into data, and then we're not going to translate ID because it's just ID. We'll go into the details for the column, and that's where you'll find the column header text. So I'm going to click on that, and here I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to give it the description like I did before, but name is pretty generic and it might be used in different places. But the key thing here is it's making a key thing. Get what I did there? I didn't even do it on purpose. The key thing is it's making this key in that JSON file, and this might make it a little harder to figure out where it's going or what it's for. So you can change. And this isn't part of the lab. This is just me throwing in stuff to try and make it a little easier. You can change the key to something that makes more sense for you. So I'll change that. And then you can see that that column has been changed, and we'll change the location column. And once I get this done, I will take a look at the questions. Just give me 1 second. So we're going to change this one, put a description, and we're going to change the key name. I won't be doing all the key names and everything every time because that makes it a little longer and more boring. All right, so that should internationalize this table. So let's take a look at the question, see if I've missed anything here. Okay, so I will come to some of those in a bit. Okay, so somebody keeps raising their hand. Let's don't raise our hands over and over again. Like I said, I'm easily distracted by shiny things. All right, so back to the lab. All right, the next thing. So we've done this page. Now, keep in mind, this will not internationalize your data. This is just for the application. So we'll switch into live. We'll hit the create button, and that gets us over to the create departments page. Once again, over here, we want to change this, and we are going to, let me copy this. We will come over here and add a description, and we will save that. I might have actually done that one wrong. We'll come back to that. We'll see if that works. We'll go into the, so when you have like an input text field, it is similar. You just go into the label hint and let's see, input text. We're going to take this here. Once again, I'm a little stumbling now and then because I tried not to, I have an obsession. I have to practice it like 9,000 times. Let me. All right, so I will save that. So now we have the name field, and for the location field, we will, let me copy over here. So most of this is step by step. Oh, that's way too much. Most of this is step by step on what you will do in the lab. Click here, click the globe. Most of this is just click the globe, enter the stuff, and go. The descriptions are something that I added because when we get to the file, you'll see that it makes it a little bit easier for the team that is going to do the translations. Let's do this button. Almost done with this part. And like I said, the first time I did this, it took a little while because I was reading everything. So it took about 20 minutes per lab. Now that I've done it once or twice, this might be a really short session, or when I break something, it might be a really long session trying to figure out what it was that I broke. All right, so we'll throw this in here. Okay, so that gets all of these up. So you can see the values have all, hopefully I've hit them all. They've all been changed to reference that file that we're going to look at now, actually. Okay, so that's good. Let's go back over here because the 3 times I practiced, I forgot to go into design mode all 3 times. All right, so now we are going to go back to that file. So we're going to go in the web apps panel. So this is where you find your main start. We're going to go under resources, strings, app. Now, depending on how you created your app, this might be different, but right now it says app, NLS, and this first file here. So this file here says we have a root language, and it is set to be usable. So root true. And we have this string here now. Remember, we looked at that at the beginning, and it had a couple things that were filled in for us at the beginning. And we've added, as soon as I started doing that, you notice it got some other things that were, or no, yeah. So it's got those things that came in, and then it's got the things that I've added on here. So what we're going to do is at this point, if I understood French, I could go in and I could make a translation for the different things and see if it comes out correctly, but I don't know French. So we're going to actually download the file and send it over to our translation team. So for that, we're going to click on the big settings menu up here. We're going to go into the translations tab, and I'm going to pull down this JSON file. And let's see, we want to go to, where did it go? Let me just punch this in here. See, my thing doesn't always remember my directories, so we'll go there and save it in my working directory. All right, so let's jump over to my directory here. So I just downloaded this file. We'll unzip it. We'll go into there, and we're going to take a look at this string tab here. All right, let me get this over to where you can see what we're doing. So here is that file, and we can scroll down to where I started making the changes. All right, so this is the file I would send to my my team that does the translations, and that's where this description comes in handy. So this is the top header for the departments page. So I want to make a new file. Oh, actually, I should have, before I do this, I'm going to do the lab correctly. Let's see, let's put this here. I'm going to close that. What I was supposed to do in the lab not find, insert, copy, paste. I was supposed to make a new file, so, and I was going to name it app strings bar. So we're going to make a French file. Okay. So we'll do this, we'll put that, we'll rename. Okay, now we have a French file. So now we need to make this Spreche de French. I'm not sure how to say that. Parlez-vous français? Yeah, I remembered it. I just did the last second there. All right, so now in the lab, it has a little table where it shows the different translations. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to start out with departments. And in here, the source text, this is the original. The one we're going to change is the bind text value. So this is what's going to show up on this on the screen. This is what's going to show up on the screen. So here we'll change that to, I assume that's French for departments. This one is create. Let's see, we're going to leave ID. We didn't do ID in the first place. Name is in here a couple times. So we're going to put nom in place of name. Hopefully I said that correctly. And location is also in here a couple times. So we'll do both of those. And then cancel and save. All right, so the one that I didn't get was this create department. I think I wasn't supposed to click that. I don't remember in the lab, but I'm going to wing it. And I'm just going to take the word that was for create and for departments. And I'm going to do this. And if that's improper French, that's up to my translation team to tell me that I did it wrong. All right, save the file. That's what my translation team would do. And then once that is done, then I come back up to this, the directory above where my files are, and I'm just going to zip those up, compress. Now I have this zip file. So back on the screen, you can see I can upload just by dragging and dropping the file into that little box. So I'm going to drop that there, and it's uploading the file. And while that's doing that, let me double check. No new questions. All right, so that's been uploaded. Hopefully we've done that correctly so far. Now, if we look over here, you can see we have the root that we had before, and this is the default English. And we have the new French one, which is here with all the French translations in there. And if we go back to that app strings, you can see that we now have two languages defined. One is the root language and one is French. Okay, so at this point, that is where, let me stop the share for just a sec. And, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Where'd the share button go? I even said it while I was doing it wrong. I wanted to go back to the slide real quick, give everybody a chance to see. That should be the end of this first lab. So that's as far as they get with that. So what that lab actually does is you go in, you use the little globe button to populate out that JSON file that we downloaded. Assuming you have a team of translators, you take that JSON file, you send it over to your team. They send you back the new language files and however many there are, and you upload them into there. And now you have your app is multi-language enabled, but now we're going to add a way to switch between the languages. So that's what this second lab is for, and you can find it here. There was a request to copy and paste the URLs. Let me see if I can do that real quick. So the first lab that we've done, I'm going to just drop this in where's the chat? Boy, Zoom moves things around all the time on me. Let me move this over here, send this to everybody. So the first lab is there, and the second lab, this is the one we're just about to go do. There's the second lab. So hopefully everyone got that, and I will mark that one as done. There was a question, can I also change the description text? Okay, so I assume we're talking about this description text. I haven't tried it. I don't see why you couldn't. You should be able to do whatever you want in this file before you send it. In the lab doesn't actually have you put the description text in there. I just thought that would be a good example to show you how to do it, assuming you're sending it to someone else to translate. So let's go back over to here. So lab number 2. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to enable the localization. So we're going to go to the Sources tab. And in the Sources tab, I've already got it open here. We're going to go to Web Apps. I'm going to go to the app that we're working on. And then you will see down here at the bottom, we have AppFlow.js. Nope, that's not it. AppFlow.json is the one we're looking for. Every single time, all 3 times I practiced this, I went into the AppFlow.js and went, this does not look like the example. That's because there's 2 more letters, ON should go on the end, and then it will work. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way down to the bottom. We're going to find security here and see where security ends. We are going to paste in this, and this comes from the lab. So we're going to turn on localization, and I'm not exactly sure what that does, but the lab told me to do it. So hey, there it is, it's done. All right, so also in the Sources tab, we are going to open Web Apps, and under Web Apps, our app, in the flows, we're going to open our main, and under main, we're going to go under pages, and under pages, we are going to find main start page.js. Okay, so this is the JavaScript for our main page, and in the lab, it gives you this code. So this is not my fancy code. I'm going to just put that in page module. So this is going to be the function that switches between languages that we will call from our buttons. Speaking of buttons, let's go add some buttons. All right, let's go back to, let's just minimize that, give ourselves a little more room to play with. I am going to take a button and drop it right there. Notice that was a little tiny line, and fortunately I was able to hit it. All right, so 2 buttons. Let's make the first one. We're going to come in here, make the first one the English button. So go under General. Oh, mine not on the button. Let's see, I'm in Design. Okay, I clicked things way too fast. I tend to do that sometimes. I'll click, 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 and then things get out of sync. But if you're not familiar, one of the awesome things about Visual Builder is it remembers everything you do. And when things go wonky, just refresh the screen, and now I'm on the button. Okay, so I'm going to paste English in there, and while I'm here, I'm just going to click the globe and hit save. I'm not going to put a description in because you've seen me do that numerous times. We don't need to do that over and over. So same thing here. I'm going to make that French. And the reason I'm pasting the value first and then hitting the globe is because then it populates the file using the word that needs to be translated. If I did that the other way around, if I hit the globe and then put it in, it would overwrite the link, and in the file it would just say button. The sequence of that matters, and of course, you know, it's Visual Builder, it's all code. You can do whatever you'd like to do, so you can go in and fix it after the fact. All right, so we have those 2, and let me just make sure I didn't miss a step. All right, so next we're going to go back over to in the Web Apps tab, Resources, Strings, App, NLS, and we're going to go to the root function, and at the bottom you'll see we have English and French. So I'm going to take those, and so this method, by the way, this is what you would do if this is what you do if, let's say, you do speak French or whichever language you're doing, and you're translating on your own. Could be Klingon, who knows. You can modify these files directly. You don't have to download them, change them, and send them back up. So I can just go into French now and paste those in there. And then, of course, I want to put the Oh, that's a cool looking little C. It has a tail. Anyway, so I'll go put the French versions in there. And so that saved me having to download the file, send it off, get it back. You can just edit it directly in there. All right, next, we are going to go back up to the main start page and we're going to add an action chain for our buttons. So button, event listener on OJ action. Okay, one thing the lab does not have me do, but I've started learning that this is a really good thing to do, is when I'm making an action chain, I try and set the ID to be something that is less generic. So this is the set language button action chain. And I'm going to add a new parameter. We're going to make one action chain that works for both buttons. So this part is in the lab. So we're going to set the locale there. And now I want to put a call function in here. And remember that function that we pasted in, the set app language? We're going to paste that in there. And then we are going to use this input parameter that we just barely created. And so we're going to pass in locale, send that to the call function, and it's going to switch the language for me. And then there's probably better ways to do this. I don't know. I assume so. But this is what the lab said to do. So I'm going to put an open URL, and I'm just going to put an index.html there. All right, let me check real quick. Looks like we... Oh, no, that was the same question. All right, so that should make it so that it'll switch the language and then refresh the screen. All right, so that is good for the English button, and we will go back over to the page designer. And now this time with the French button, instead of making an OJ action, I'm going to create an OJ action. So this is how you do it. If you've already got an action chain and you want to call it multiple times, you can still take the same action. But if you go through the custom action, then you can come in here, and this is where that name comes in handy. Pick the action chain, and now both buttons call the same action chain. But this one, when you call it, we want to send in French. And when you do this one, we want to send in English. Okay, so there's that, there's that. Okay, I think, let me double check my notes. I think that is the whole thing. So let's give it a try. So let's run it. All right, so here we are in our English version. If we go into create, everything looks like it's still English. Let's switch to French. This should refresh the page. And now we have, I assume that's English and French, and we'll hit the create button again, and we'll come in here. Hopefully, for those of you, anybody who speaks French, I winged it and just threw that in there. Hopefully, that's correct grammar. But notice that not only has it changed the things that I specifically set, but over here, built into Visual Builder, depending on the template you're using and whatnot, you'll notice that this is also French. I didn't do that. That's built into the component. So some things are done for you, some things you have to do. So I think that one was cancel. We come back over here just to make sure that it works both directions. We'll go into English once again, and everything looks good on this page, and everything looks good on that page. Okay, so that is both of the labs. So I'm going to switch back to the slide for just a second. Leave that up. All right, and so while that is up, if anybody wants to pull those open, let me look and see if we have any other questions. All right, so the recording, yes, I will share the recording. What I need to do is I need to go through and put some, I got to go watch myself talk, which is always fun, and make some timestamps, and then I'll make the little list that says here's where the parts are. You can skip to the different sections, and then I'll upload it. It sometimes takes a week, so we will get that uploaded. And I put the links in the chat, so I'll mark that one. And there was a second request for that same thing, and then we answered that. So now is the time if you have any other lab related questions. Sorry for this coming back to you, whoever asked this question, Yuri. I'm just going to put yes on there because Zoom is not canceling the question. Okay, so I have no open questions. So one thing I would like to know is, did you find this type of session at least entertaining, if not hopefully useful? If you'd like to see me do more of this in the future, when you sign up for the office hour session, there is a link in there where you can send questions. So if you have a lab that you've tried to run through and had issues with, send me the lab. And if this session is popular, people like it, I can go through and do a lab that is causing most people the most problems and go through and try that. I think it's kind of fun because like I said, I normally over practice my demos to the point of where I don't need my notes, even though I read my notes. This one I tried to stay as fresh as possible. So that was the 4th time that I've done this lab, and in the future I can do that same type of thing. So if anybody wants to send the email question, just let me know if this was a good format, if it was useful, and I will maybe do more of this type of a session in the future. So I'm going to pull this slide up, and so now if you have any just general questions, I'll take a stab at answering them. I am not shy, so I don't know everything. There is, if you're not aware, Shy retired a little while ago, and so I'm doing my best to answer questions, but if I can't answer your questions, these first few links here, this is where you can find documentation and different pieces of content. Down here, if I can't answer your questions, these are the community forums for Visual Builder and Visual Builder Studio. And then, of course, we have a LinkedIn group. I'll leave that one up. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that if you would like. And anyway, this is going to be a short session today because the first time I did this, the labs took me about 20 minutes each. I assumed that would take up the whole hour. Like I said, this is the 4th time I've done it. They go a lot faster when you've done them more than once. So with that, if there are no more questions, I will go ahead and close this early and give you some time back. So anyway, let me throw up my pretty face there again. I will turn my camera on. There we go. All right. So anyway, I'm glad you all joined me, and I appreciate you spending your time with me. Thanks a lot.